Hi dolls, my name is Bethany Herway and I'm the Glamorous Housewife. Every day I'm asked the age-old question, Mom, what's for dinner? Now, my problem is I've got two boys and whatever one will eat, the other one hates. For a while I was trying to please them both, but that ended up making us all crazy. So now I just make whatever I feel like eating. The other day, it was warm, starting to get to be more summery, and I thought, you know what I haven't made since last summer? Fish tacos. So I went ahead, my husband and I love them, made them, sat them down, and waited for the crying. Except there was no crying. Yeah, they ate it. Both of my boys ate the fish tacos. It was a miracle. The first thing I thought of was, oh my God, I have got to blog this. The second thing I thought was, no, I'm going to shoot a video so everyone can enjoy these fish tacos. So here we are. Now these fish tacos, they're not the fried fish tacos that you get quite often in restaurants, which are delicious, but high in fat and grease, and frankly, I'm not very good at frying. Much better at working on my stove, not so much oil. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to marinate the fish, and then while the fish is marinating, I'm going to make the slaw that goes on top. Then, while that is sitting, getting all its flavors combined, I'm going to cook the fish on the stove, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you how I put it together, all right? Shall we get started? Okay. Now, I always cook with an apron because, as you ladies know, I like to wear my vintage and I don't want it to get ruined. This is from Anthropology. Okay. So here is my pan that I'm going to marinate the fish in. This fish is tilapia. It's a nice firm white fish and it's fairly inexpensive, which I like. You can use halibut for this or cod. I don't like cod, but halibut is really expensive and this is just going to get so many flavors on it. I don't really see the point in wasting a beautiful piece of halibut. So I put the fish in, and then to it I add 1 tablespoon of cumin and 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Here we go. That goes on top. It's a lot of chili powder, but I really like the flavor. To that, I'm going to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil. Then, my secret ingredient is a little bit of beer. We always have it. My husband loves it. I'm using Bud, the king of beers, mainly because we have it in the house, but anything will do. I think Corona would be nice. I just put a little bit in, basically to moisten it. Then I drink it while I'm finishing dinner. Now, the main ingredient is going to be limes. I really like the fresh flavor of limes. I think it's a little bit different than lemon, which I like, a little bit more tropical. So I just take them and squeeze them. I find there isn't many seeds in it, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, there's one. Let's get another one going. I do this to release the juices. You can also microwave it, just be careful because sometimes I've done that and cut it and it's very hot. There we go. Oh, I can smell that citrusy flavor. I love it. It almost smells like summer. And then, there we go, the second one. I add a little bit of salt, just to taste. And then what I do, I use my hands. I really get this marinade all in it. I rub it in, kind of like you rub in your night cream every night. Okay, so this is sort of what I call a cross between a rub and a marinade. Now fish doesn't have to marinate for very long because of the acid in the lime juice. It will start cooking right away. And this is not something you want to make in the morning and then cook at night or it's going to make your fish mushy. I think the perfect amount of time is while you're making the coleslaw. So I'm going to take that, set it aside. Then we're going to get started on the coleslaw. For the coleslaw, what I like to do is buy a bag of pre-sliced cabbage. I just find it much easier than slicing it myself, but if you want to, be my guest. For the dressing, what I've done is I have 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. I like the way the lime juice in the coleslaw works with the lime juice in the marinade. And I also like using these jelly jars when I'm done. I just rinse them out, wash them, and I use the jelly jars to make my dressings all the time. So to that, because coleslaw is very much a sweet and sour type of flavor, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now what I'm going to do, and a little bit of salt, maybe 2 pinches. The salt helps break down the cabbage, and that's where you get the crunchy and soft texture. And I just shake it up. I'm going to taste this to make sure we kind of got, yes, it's very good. I can taste the salt, I can taste the sweet, I can taste the tang, and I like that little back end of the rice wine vinegar. So take this, pour it over the coleslaw. Okay? Perfect. Then what I'm going to do, and here's the secret ingredient, into my coleslaw goes 2 apples, which I peel and then I shred. Normally I would have done this ahead of time, but as we all know, apples turn brown when they're left to expose. The reason why they won't turn brown in the coleslaw is because we've got the acids of the lime juice and of course the vinegar. Alright, there's 1 apple. I'm going to go ahead and shred that. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a cutting board right here that it'll go on. Have you guys ever used these box graters? I never had one growing up, but we had like a flat one. And I never liked it. I thought it was too difficult, but these shredders are great. If you really want to, you can also do this in your food processor, but in this instance, I don't think the cleanup is worth it. Okay, so there's 1. I'm going to do another one. The worst thing about peeling apples is every now and again I peel my finger and it hurts like the dickens. Alright. See how fast this goes? If you find it getting harder, it just means that your grater is dull and it's time to get a new one. Okay, in we go. Now to that, I will add cilantro, which I love. You know, there's people that you either love cilantro or you hate cilantro. I've never known anyone to be indifferent. This family, we love it. So I just take a big handful that I've already washed, start at the top end with the leaves, and I just run my knife through it. If you don't like cilantro, you don't have to use it. I suppose you could put parsley in, but there's really no substitute, in my opinion, in this particular recipe for the cilantro. You can just omit it. All right, there we go, yum. Okay. And then finally, this is something new that I added for the first time when I fed it to my boys. That is some mango. I thought, well, why not? I had one, sliced it up, threw it in, and it ended up taking this whole meal and elevating it to the next level because it went from just being fish tacos into this tropical meal. Oh, so good. So I throw that in, then I mix. Again with my hands. I don't always use my hands. It's just a very handsy kind of meal. But I find when dealing with coleslaw, it really helps, especially with these little pieces of apple, to really get in there. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people who don't like coleslaw, and the main reason they don't like coleslaw is the mayonnaise. I happen to like mayonnaise and use it. But if you don't like mayonnaise, and that's why you don't like coleslaw, try this just as it is. You don't really need the mayonnaise. I just like the extra creaminess it brings to the whole meal, but it's delicious just like this. Now, we're gonna have to let that sit. I add my mayonnaise right at the end, so we'll do that after I've cooked the fish. Okay? So, to backtrack, what we've got our fish marinating, and we're just about to go cook it on the stove, and we've made our beautiful topping and side dish of coleslaw, sort of a tropical coleslaw. All right, you've been letting the fish marinate for about 10 or 15 minutes. You've got your coleslaw done. Now it's time to cook the fish. I've been letting this come to temperature, pretty hot. I use a grill pan just for fun. I don't know why. You could use a regular saute pan as well. You know, what can I say? I use it for fish. Now, what I do, just to keep the fish from sticking, is add this. It's probably really bad. You probably shouldn't do it, but I do. Okay, let's see if this works, because this pan is hot. So, to it, boom. As you can see, the spices are still attached to the fish, which is what you want. No point in marinating something and having all the spices if they're just going to fall right off. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this about 5 to 7 minutes on one side, flip it, cook for 3 to 5 minutes on the other side, and you can see it turns white and it starts to flake, and then I'll come back. Looks done. You can see the whiteness of the fish and all the spices have been incorporated. I've chopped it up with my spatula just because I think it's easier to serve that way. Turn it off, and then I transfer it onto a tray to make it easier for serving. Alright, you've got everything done and ready to go. You've got your fish cooked, you've got your coleslaw done. I added the mayonnaise because I like the flavor of it, but you don't have to have it. And before I show you how to make the fish taco, I wanted to show you how I plate my kids' food. Because when I said they like fish tacos, they don't exactly like fish tacos. Every component needs to be separate on the plate. So when I'm making the dinner, I will cut up an extra green apple, which was in our coleslaw, and I will cut up an extra mango, which was also in our coleslaw. The fish goes on the side, the tortilla is separate, and then I make them taste the coleslaw even though they hate it. I make them taste it every time because every now and again, one of them will taste something that they've had 20 times before and say, this is good. And I'm like, why didn't you like it the last 10 times? Whatever, the kids' taste buds changes, so we make sure that they taste everything. And that is how I plate the kids' food. Now, for the adults, here's what I do. I usually serve the meal with corn on the cob if I feel it's necessary, if I think the kids are going to be really hungry. And then I use this. I know it's hideously ugly, but it's an important tool in my house because I cook a lot of Mexican food. It is a tortilla warmer. Basically what I do is I place the tortillas inside, zap it for 30 seconds to a minute depending on how many tortillas there are inside. Let them cool down a little bit because they're quite hot. Then what you get is a nice soft tortilla, and you don't have to add any extra oil to just add those extra calories that I personally don't really need. If you don't care or you really like it crunchy, you can take this and toast it on your stove top. Delicious. My husband does that. So I lay down the tortilla, and then I add the fish. Then on top of that, making sure I get my favorite, which is the mango. Top of that. Then these are very messy, so you need to have a lot of napkins. I basically just roll it up like a taco. Take a bite. So good. The first flavor I'm getting really is a texture. It's the crunch of the coleslaw, which I love. I love crunchy things. Followed by that, I get the savory spiciness of the fish. And then on top of that, I'm getting kind of the sweet and sour fruitiness from the mango that's brightened by the lime juice. So good. And then of course, the cilantro, just to hit it with that pop of green, fresh flavor. I hope you've enjoyed this cooking with the Glamorous Housewife fish tacos. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comments. You can visit me anytime at theglamouroushousewife.com.